For this week's social studies lesson, we're going to be looking at the Scholastic News article, An Icy Tradition. So before we get started, we are going to look at the vocabulary words for this week's article. Our first vocabulary word is tradition. So a tradition is a way of doing or celebrating something that is passed down from older people to younger people. Watching fireworks in the sky is a tradition on 4th of July. So there are many different kinds of traditions you can have within your family. And like they said, it's just a way of doing something or celebrating something that's been passed on from older people to younger people. Our next vocabulary word is plunge. So plunge is a sudden jump or dive. So as you can see, this young boy plunged into the water. So a sudden jump or dive. And the last vocabulary word is waded. So walked through water or another liquid. So walking through water, you can see these two people walking through the water. So another word would be waded. So looking at the front cover of this article, it says, on New Year's Day, some people have an unusual tradition. Even kids can do it. Last year, Scholastic News writer Blair Ransford tried it. This is her story. My Polar Bear Plunge by Blair Rainsford. So if you look at the very top, there's a picture here and it says, look at these people at their faces. Can you tell if the water is hot or cold? So looking at their faces, do you think that the water is hot or cold? So as you read today, I want you guys to be thinking about if you would like to try this tradition. So is this something that you would like to try? The polar bear plunge. So it was a beautiful day at the beach. I was wearing my new pink bathing suit and I was getting ready to go for a swim. There was just one problem. It was only 30 degrees outside. Taking the plunge. Why was I why was I here on this frigid day? I was doing something called a polar bear plunge. A plunge is a type of jump. Polar bear plunges are a New Year's Day tradition. On January 1st, people run and jump into freezing cold water to welcome a new year. So, what kind of weather is there during the polar bear plunge? What kind of weather outside is the kind of weather? So, if we look back at our article, it says it was only 30 degrees outside. So, if it's 30 degrees outside, is it hot or is it cold? It is cold outside. And then we kept reading on and they talked about why people do this. So, what is the reason that people do this tradition? So, it says that people run and jump into the freezing cold water to welcome in the new year. So, it's a way for them to celebrate the new year. So, let's look at the second page. My first plunge. Hundreds of people were waiting with me to do our plunge. We lined up on the sand. A band played loud drums and people cheered and clapped. Some people were wearing funny costumes. I saw a guy dressed like a hot dog. I was wearing a fuzzy polar bear hat. Finally, it was time to plunge. We ran into the water. I thought I was ready, but I was wrong. It was the coldest thing I had ever felt. I waded through the water until I was in up to my shoulders. I wasn't going to get my head wet, but other swimmers cheered me on, so I dunked my whole body in the water. My polar bear hat soaked up a ton of water. It got really heavy and cold. Then I ran back onto the beach. A reporter with a video camera asked me what my polar bear plunge was like. I can't remember what I said. My brain was too cold. My husband gave me a big hug, a big, thick bathrobe, and I wrapped myself up in it. We watched a few more people take their turns polar bear plunging, and then we left. I needed some hot chocolate. All right, so my first plunge experience. So this is, I forgot her name, Blair. So Blair was right here, and this is her experience with the polar bear plunge. So with her first experience, people lined up on the beach, and then everybody cheered and clapped them on as they ran into the water. And some people were wearing funny costumes. She was wearing a polar bear hat. There was a guy dressed as a hot dog. If you see in the picture, there's some people who are just wearing a regular bathing suit. Someone has a Santa hat on. So people are dressed in all different kinds of ways. And she said the water was very, very cold. It was the coldest that she had ever been. Will I plunge again? My first polar bear plunge was really fun. I felt like the freezing cold water washed the cold year off of me. I was ready for a new start. Would I do it again? Maybe. So this is her, and like I said, she got a paper to prove that she completed the polar bear plunge. And part of the reason that she participated in the polar bear plunge, she said it was an opportunity for like the freezing cold water to kind of wash the old year off of her. So kind of a fresh start, a new year, washing away the old year and putting it in the past. So she said that she doesn't know if she would do it again, but maybe she would. All right, so if we read the chart about some more New Year's traditions, then we can answer some questions. So, like I said, everyone has different traditions, and we're going to look at these three traditions right here. So the first one says, see fireworks, and we can see a picture of the fireworks. The last day of the year is December 31st. It's called New Year's Eve. At midnight, people set off fireworks. So that might be a tradition that you are familiar with. So on New Year's Eve, there are people who light off fireworks to celebrate the end of the year and the beginning of the new year. The second one says, eat beans. In the in the southern US, people eat beans called black-eyed peas on January 1st. It's for good luck. Have any of you ever heard of this tradition? I've heard of it. I myself don't actually participate in this tradition, but people eat black-eyed peas on January 1st for good luck. And the last one says, make a resolution. So that's a promise about something you'll do in the new year. You could promise to be healthy or to try something new. So we had talked about that last week about New Year's resolutions, and some people do that tradition and some people don't. So now let's see. The first question says, when is New Year's Eve? So when is New Year's Eve? July 4th, December 31st, or January 1st? When is New Year's Eve? It is December 31st. What is a resolution? What is a resolution? A type of bean, a type of firework, or a type of promise? It is a type of promise. What are black-eyed peas? Are they fireworks, beans, or ice cubes? What are black-eyed peas? Fireworks, beans, or ice cubes? Beans. And our last question, why do people eat black-eyed peas on January 1st? So why do people eat them? For good luck, to be healthy, or to stay warm? For good luck. Good job. All right, so now that this video is done, if you can move on to the next slide and complete the questions that I have prepared for you.